Hi everyone and welcome to another episode of What's Up Panda. Today, I want to talk about time. There are multiple variations of time and theories about time. All of our lives revolve around it, and yet most of us fail to acknowledge or even respect it. Every culture, religion, philosophy, and even science has something to say about this concept. Most of the theories, although different, have certain similarities. That's not very unusual since time governs all, irrespective of where they come from or who they are. Firstly, I would like to introduce the concept of time as mentioned in various texts, and then I would like to present a concept of my own with respect to time. To begin with, let's delve into philosophy, my favorite area. Within philosophy, there are so many theories in and around time that it would take me an entire season of podcast to cover them. So, with respect to time, no pun intended, I would restrict this episode to a few theories, each from philosophy, science, and religion. Now, in philosophy, two of the theories that I absolutely love are fatalism and McTaggart's argument. Fatalism says that whatever will happen in the future is already unavoidable. If it has to happen, it will happen. Future moral catastrophes are unavoidable. Every weighty decision that now feels up to you is already determined. On the contrary, many thinkers and writers have opposed the idea, and there are many propositions, namely, propositions about events that are both in the future and contingent, that are neither true nor false right now. Consider the proposition that you will have lunch tomorrow. Perhaps that proposition either has no truth value right now or else has a third truth value, indeterminate. When the relevant time comes and you either have lunch or don't, then the proposition will come to be either true or false. And from then on, that proposition will forever retain that determinate truth value. Coming to McTaggart's argument, J.M.E. McTaggart said that there is no such thing as time. The appearance of temporal order is a mere appearance to the world. He began his argument by distinguishing two ways in which positions in time can be ordered. First, he says positions in time can be ordered according to their position of properties like being 2 days future, being 1 day future, being present, being 1 day past, etc. These properties are often referred to now as A properties because McTaggart called the series of time ordered by these properties the A series. But he says that positions in time can also be ordered by two place relations like 2 days earlier than, 1 day earlier than, simultaneous with, etc. These relations are now often called B relations because McTaggart called the series of times ordered by these relations the B series. He argued that the B series alone does not constitute a proper time series. The A series is essential to time. His reason for this was that he assumed change is essential to time, and the B series without the A series does not involve genuine change, since B series positions are forever fixed, whereas A series positions are constantly changing. McTaggart also argued that the A series is inherently contradictory, for he says the different A properties are incompatible with one another. No time can be both future and past, for example. That must have been pretty heavy information. But such is time. It's an essential concept which brings about even more complexity in life as much as it brings simplicity. Moving towards science, in the special theory of relativity, Einstein determined that time is relative. In other words, the rate at which time passes depends on your frame of reference. Just as observers in two different frames of reference don't always agree on how to describe the motion of a bouncing ball, They also don't always agree on when an event happened or how long it took. A second in one reference frame may be longer compared to a second in another reference frame. The faster a clock moves, the slower time passes according to someone in a different frame of reference. The idea that a second is not always a second is one of the most surprising findings of Einstein's special theory of relativity. Researchers have actually observed this effect, which is only detectable at high speeds. Scientists synchronized two highly accurate atomic clocks and then flew one around the Earth aboard an aeroplane. When the airborne clock returned to Earth, it was a tiny fraction of a second behind the one that remained on the ground. A thought experiment using a light clock reveals why this is so. The directionality that we observed in the macroscopic world is very real. Teacups shatter but do not spontaneously reassemble. Eggs can be scrambled but not unscrambled. Entropy, a measure of the disorder in a system, always increases, a fact encoded in the second law of thermodynamics. As the Austrian physicist Ludwig Boltzmann understood in the 19th century, the second law explains why events are more likely to evolve in one direction rather than another. It accounts for the arrow of time. David Albert talks about a concept called past hypothesis to explain that entropy increases because the Big Bang happened to produce an exceptionally low entropy universe. The past hypothesis implies that every time we cook an egg, we're taking advantage of events that happened nearly 14 billion years ago. What you need the Big Bang to explain is, why were there ever unbroken eggs? Said Sean Carroll, a physicist at Caltech. Coming to different religious beliefs about time, many philosophical and religious schools have assumed that no beginning or end can be attributed to time. For instance, ancient Greek thought includes a strong idea of cyclic time, according to which not only the cosmological processes but all individual destinies are repeated in every detail in time. Jewish, Christian, and Muslim philosophers have had to reject this idea of cyclic time because it leaves no room for genuine progress or final salvation. Augustine, in particular, was very clear about this. He said, "Heaven forbid, I repeat, that we should believe that. For Christ died once for our sins, but rising from the dead, he dies no more, and death shall no longer have domain over him." Some Muslim thinkers, such as Al-Farabi and Avicenna, held that the act of creation should be conceived as atemporal and purely logical. In Judaism and Christianity, however, most philosophers have rejected this view, maintaining that God's creation of the world was, in fact, its temporal beginning. In Judaic thought, some have argued that time existed and the Torah was created before the creation of the world. This view of time would allow the notion of the universe being created in time. However, according to the most common view in traditional medieval philosophy, time is considered to be relational. That is, there can only be time in relation to a world of events. Now, coming to what I believe about time and space, I think that we are constantly moving and staying still on one huge line called the timeline. What has happened is happening and will happen has already happened. We are just moving through this line and experiencing whatever has happened throughout our lives. We are both alive and dead at the same time, not very much unlike the Schrodinger's cat. We exist in multiple different planes at the same time, and we don't exist anywhere at all. Many of us have experienced the concept of deja vu at one point or the other during our lives, and we also experience dreams and nightmares. These should be evidences enough that we are existing in multiple different dimensions at the same time, but are not existing anywhere at all at the same time. With this, I would like to conclude this episode as well as this season. What's Up Panda will be back with season 2 on 23rd December 2022. Until next time, keep listening to What's Up Panda.